when you get a good business case and you get good consensus built, the idea is much more likely to actually get done and come in with meaningful value for the company.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Championship Leadership Podcast. We got Alec Hudnut here, and he's out of LA right now currently, and I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll dive into a little bit more about you and your background and what you do. But first, I always like to ask, Championship Leadership's the name of the podcast. So what comes to mind for you when you hear championship leadership? What do you think of?
That's a good question. What it takes to win something, right?
Yeah.
How do you win the championship? And it's not always obvious. I had an example in my personal life where I didn't do that. About let's see, how long ago? Almost 27 years ago. A friend and I started the first e-learning company. So our code is in the Smithsonian for the first e-learning course in the world.
Oh, wow.
And the first learning management system. And obviously that's become a big, huge industry. But it
has.
We started that when everybody was on AOL dial-up with the floppy disk.
Okay.
And so it was way ahead of its time.
Yeah.
So, great concept, but wrong time. So
sure.
I think part of being a champion is you got to get the timing right too. And you got to design something that fits the environment of the day or the environment that's coming shortly. But, e-learning didn't really take off until broadband happened, which was about, 10 or 15 years later.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I love that story. That's great. Great story. And obviously here you are, you're still here today. So you figured it out and made a way through it. So maybe that's a good segue to telling us a little bit more about the rest of your journey and how you've gotten to where you are today and what it is that you do today.
Sure. Well, our firm, consulting firm, Vici Partners, Vici Partners, and we do earnings growth consulting for medium and large companies. So anywhere from 250 million in revenue to over 50 billion in revenue. And what we do is we help them improve their profits. And most of our compensation is paid out when their initiatives that we worked on with them actually come to fruition and improve their cash flow. So very aligned with the management team in our model. And typically we're getting 25% plus improvement to earnings within 2 to 3 years of the clients that we serve. And we do it in kind of a non-traditional way. We believe that most of the answers on how to improve profitability already lie inside of the company.
Yeah.
And
right.
That the frontline workers and the mid-level managers just haven't been listened to. And it's because they haven't formed a crisp enough business case and built consensus among the executive team. So we help them do those two things. Make sure the idea or the initiative has economic merit, and then figure out all the people who need to say yes and the people who can't say no to the idea. And, when you get a good business case and you get good consensus built, the idea is much more likely to actually get done and come in with meaningful value for the company. So it seems pretty basic, but most consulting firms just tell people what to do. We don't do that. We find if you're telling people what to do, they're less likely to listen. They're less likely to implement. And so our model at Vici Partners is the answer is often within. And so we develop the hundreds of ideas that people have had for many years. They just couldn't get listened to. And we help them get listened to and get those ideas approved. And my background was as a primarily a technology entrepreneur before, and sort of sitting in the middle of the developer room, or not having any hierarchy in the company, and sort of by doing that you are you listen better to what's happening, and you don't sit in your ivory tower and pontificate.
Yeah.
You're out there listening to what the problems are. And it's the same with improving profitability of a company. If a CEO had time to spend 40 hours a week listening to what his people had to say for 3 months, the company would be in a much better place.
Right.
CEOs don't have time to do that.
Yeah.
They're busy with their board, their big shareholders, the press, the big product launches. Well, we do that for them. And in our firm, we're all ex-CEOs or senior executives at big companies, and we go out there and listen. It's fun.
Love it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Transformative company.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love that. What's who have been some of the championship leaders maybe in your life, the coaches, mentors that you've had that have impacted you, and what is it like? What are some of the characteristics that really stood out from those individuals?
Well, I remember I started my career at Goldman Sachs very long time ago in the mid 80s. And I remember getting to a board meeting, and I was the lowly analyst, the one who'd done all the numbers. And back in those days, actually collated the books and copied them and turned them into documents we could share with the client. And, I had written the presentation, and the partner showed up, but none of the people who were going to do the presentation showed up. They missed their plane. So, the vice president, the associates, all the guys who've been practicing the presentation. So the partner turned to me and he said, "All right, Hudnut, you're up. You do it." And, he gave me the chance to have a presentation. I'm sure it didn't go as well as it would have if the vice president did it, but it went well enough, and we got the business.
Nice.
He gave me a shot, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah, we all need those people to come along that give us that opportunity, right? Give us that vote of confidence when sometimes we don't necessarily have it in ourselves. So yeah, that's huge. I love that. What's the big vision for you? I think championship leaders here. Hang on, come here, buddy. My son's about to take off, so I gotta give him a quick hug.
All right.
I love you, bud. See you later. Bye. I'll talk to you later, bud. Yep. Vision for championship leaders. Like, I don't know, I'm a sports guy, so I can think of some of the great coaches that have continued to figure a way to stay at the top of their game for a very long time. And I think a big part is the vision they have and the courage to take action. What's kind of maybe the vision for you guys and what you're up to in short term, 5-10 years from now?
Well, I honestly believe that most consulting firms don't serve their clients particularly well.
Yeah.
Because they're focused on seeing how smart they are and telling them what to do. And if you really want to change somebody's mind and change their behavior, and in changing their behavior, improve their profitability, you can't be in telling mode. And so our vision is really that, the best kind of consulting is listening, looking and feeling, and identifying, a couple thousand ideas that the organization has and figuring out the 100 or 200 that make sense to implement. And that our vision is that most consulting firms go about consulting the wrong way. They're in the telling mode instead of the listening mode. And so our model at Vici Partners, our vision is, if you listen well and carefully, you're much more likely to impact the profitability of the company. It's the quality of the idea times the buy-in for the idea that equals the value of the idea during implementation. So, you got to work on the buy-in side. And the best way, your son looks like he's about maybe 10 or 11 or something like that. But when he's 16 and you want to get him to do something, if he comes up with it on his own, he's much a little more likely to do it.
No
and if you tell him not to do X, Y, Z.
It's already that way.
Yeah. And it just gets more that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt. I love that. What, maybe think of a critical moment for you inside of your life where, had you chosen differently, you'd be in a much different place in life. Because I think for the listener that might be in that moment right now, there's a lot of strength and power in hearing how others have operated navigated those times. Is there a moment that comes to mind as asset?
That's a good question. I think for me, yeah, getting out of my comfort zone after high school, I grew up in the Northeast and Connecticut and Massachusetts and New York. And, I went to high school in Connecticut, and I could have gone off to to college like a lot of my friends in the Northeast.
Yeah.
But I chose to go to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. I was lucky I got a scholarship to go there. And that was such a game changer, right? It's a different part of the world,
right.
Different part of the country, different way of looking at things. And that kind of really broadened my horizons significantly.
How old are you?
I'm 59. So I was there when Michael.
Were you there when Jordan was there? Yeah,
I was.
I was gonna say, wow. Did you ever go to a game?
Of course, definitely. Yeah, I was a freshman when he was a sophomore. In fact,
okay.
He was obviously a great player in college, but they had this one game at Carolina that was more fun than any of the team games, when they played Virginia or Duke or whatever. There was one game a year where Dean Smith, who was the coach back then, allowed all the old players to come back. So back in those days, that was like James Worthy, Phil Ford.
Yeah.
And the old players could come back and they could play the varsity team. Not in the main gym, but in the little tiny gym called Woolen Gym. And that was so fun because, there wasn't any coach. The players were just doing whatever they wanted. And that's where you saw Jordan go completely bonkers because he was unchecked, and I think he scored like 45 points in that game. He was just,
and he wanted to show what he could do against the old guys too, right?
Yeah, that guy is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Wow.
Whereas back in when he played on the team, there wasn't a shot clock like they have now. And so Dean Smith was famous for this play called Four Corners, where he'd basically put four of the players in different corners of the court and just pass the ball around to waste time. It was a very defensive oriented game, very slow game as South Carolina played. And Jordan, obviously a great scorer, great playmaker, great leader. So we saw,
at that time he wasn't what he is today, but wow, that's awesome. That's pretty cool that you had that experience too. So neat. Well, as we start to wrap this up, if there's just a couple things that you could leave with the listener that if they were to implement into their life today would help move their life forward, what might those be?
Well, I think it's the same lesson that we encourage for our clients. It also works for our personal life. And we call that beginner's mind. So if you want to turn around a company, and let's say it's a manufacturing company, get a guy from marketing to go walk around the manufacturing floor, and get a guy from finance to go sit in marketing, and get the operations guy to go sit in sales. And they don't know anything.
Yeah. Right.
Right. And so they have what we call beginner's mind, and they just start asking questions, and they don't start with any assumptions. And when you do that, sometimes you discover things that the people who've been doing it for 10 years never would have thought of.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And it's the same in your own personal life. If you can have beginner's mind, which is just approach it without all those preconditions and without all that history. And guess what? It might not be such a big problem, or you might find a quicker solution, or you might feel like you're not in such a tight box, right?
Right.
So beginner's mind philosophy we use.
I love that.
Yeah, that's consulting, and it also works. I use it in my personal life.
Right, like you said, that's easily translate over to personally as well. So that's cool. What are some of the ways that we can follow you? Are you on social media, or is there a website to find out more information about what you guys are doing?
You can go to our website at vicipartners.com. That's VICI partners with an S.com.
Okay.
And, we have some articles up there and some podcasts and, techniques for improving profitability at your company. And, if you're interested in a 25% or greater improvement of profitability, or if you're losing money and want to get to break even, you can go to the website, or you can email me directly. My email is ahudnut, AHUDNUT at Vici Partners, VICI Partners with an S.com. And we love serving companies. We love helping them become more profitable, because when they become more profitable, they're going to last longer. They're more likely to grow. They can reinvest, and they're more likely to employ people at higher salaries for a longer time. And that's good for our country. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
oh, no doubt. Yeah.
We make businesses healthier, and we enjoy doing that.
Love it. Appreciate it. We'll definitely get that linked up for everybody in the show notes too. So it's just easy to click and access. And I really appreciate it, Alec, for being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Enjoy the time. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. There we go.